Earlier we heard quite a great deal about the John Muir Award, but as well as being a personal challenge to discover, explore and conserve wild places, the award also seeks to recognise outstanding contribution to the conservation and cause of wild land. And this is done through the presentation of the John Muir Lifetime Achievement Award. This is a very special award. It is not made on an annual basis, but only when there is a clear call to recognise the work of an individual over a lifetime. The exemplar is John Muir himself, and what the Trust seeks to recognise are those who have truly followed in his footsteps and have made a contribution to the cause of wildland which is truly outstanding and whose life's work is an inspiration. In the 21 years of the John Muir Trust, only one Lifetime Achievement Award has been made. That was to the writer and broadcaster and man of the mountains, John Muir, whose television series Weir's Way is still shown on television to the joy of many and enjoyed by millions, and whose writings in the Scots magazines for 40 years campaigned for safeguarding and looking after wild places. Tom received that award in the Mitchell Theatre in Glasgow in the year 2000, the millennium year, and that was the year that the Trust became guardian of Upper Glen Nevis. Tom had campaigned 40 years earlier to safeguard that glen, to stop the inundation of the glen. And we would not see Glen Nevis as we see it today, as the beautiful glen we see it today, had it not been for the work of Tom Muir. And so Tom was awarded the first Lifetime Achievement Award. Tom wanted to be with us here today for this next presentation of a Lifetime Achievement Award, but unfortunately he's not able to be here. But his wife Rona is here, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Rona here today. Rona. I'm also pleased to say that Tom is up and about. Just 3 weeks ago, he was in the Campsies, in his beloved Campsies in Campsie Glen, where he was unveiling a cairn. It was actually a cairn to himself. And I know he was delighted to be unveiling that cairn, actually to be able to unveil the cairn, that it wasn't something that was done after he'd passed on. But the other delight was that he was opening a walk in his beloved Campsies, which appropriately enough is called Weir's Way, which I think is absolutely lovely. Dick will shortly announce the new winner of the John Muir Trust Lifetime Achievement Award, and following that there will be a presentation on the video, on the screen here, and then we will actually make the presentation itself. So I'd like to invite Dick to come back to the podium and to announce the winner of the John Muir Trust Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thank you, Nigel. The person who gets this award really is a very special individual. We talked about John Muir. Well, in many ways, this person is John Muir. I remember a long time ago speaking to Seaton Gordon when we walked in Skye, and Seaton at that time was quite elderly, but he spoke very lovingly and very eloquently of his admiration for this individual. And I noticed just that my admiration, my respect for his unequalled expertise as an ecologist, as a naturalist, as a scientist, that we all feel that way. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Adam Watts.
I began to know the Cairngorms at an age that I can't actually remember, but I can see that I was there because my parents took photographs. One day in Ballater, a rainy day when we were on holiday, I picked out this pale blue book called The Cairngorm Hills of Scotland by Seaton Gordon. It was almost like switching on an electric light inside my head. This book and his writing painted a picture of a wonderland, mysterious, beautiful. The wildlife, the places themselves, the weather, the Gaelic names, the people that lived there were all a different world to me, and I wanted to be in it. We as mankind have the power to dominate the earth. We are dominating the earth. We're driving thousands of other species to extinction, and we're endangering our own survival by our actions. It's important that we as people who have this power leave some places for Mother Nature, because we only share the planet even though we dominate it. I didn't set out to achieve anything. If I have written anything or taken photographs or left publications which other people think are useful, then that's good enough for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Watson and Jenny Watson. Adam, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dick.
You're very welcome. And could I just give this to Jenny too? You can celebrate with Adam if you want. Yes, you can sit there. Would you like to just say a few words?
I will.
It really would be superb. What we're going to do is that we've got a declaration too, and that declaration will come up on the screen. And this declaration is not just our beliefs, it's what you have contributed to. And many trustees have been beavering away with staff in the background here, and they've prepared it. So they've got this statement, and that will come up on here very shortly. And we'll ask Adam to read that after he said a few words. Thank you very much, Adam.
Thank you very much, Dick and Nigel. And I'm very pleased to accept this award, and also to be following John Muir, to whom I presented the same award in Glasgow a few years ago, and outstanding mountaineer to whom I owe so much. I should say that I had hoped that you would have a sheet of paper in your hands. I sent some summary notes on what I think is going wrong with wild places in Scotland to Nigel. He'll get it when he switches on his computer when he goes home. And I also had, those of you who know me will recognise my editorial red pencil on the first draft of the declaration, which is also there. But I should say I found one grammatical mistake with the final one, so it's not too bad. Now, I've never sought awards, and colleagues who've chased knighthoods and official honours are regarded as ridiculous. But I regard this honour as not phony like the other one, a real one. And if it does something to help towards better protection of wild places and wildlife, then that's achieved something more important than me or any of us for that matter. Because they certainly need our help. The sheet that you may eventually get, I hope, will point out some of the things that are going wrong. But you see, this bird down here looks very powerful, but it's actually very vulnerable. It and the ptarmigan and many others don't have a trade union to speak for them. They don't have a political party. They really depend on us to look after them, even though we don't know them like we know one another. The things that are going wrong are multitudinous. We must ask ourselves, I often do, are things in the wild places of the Scottish Highlands better since the John Muir Trust was formed? And the answer must be no. The most you can say, and it is a big plus, is that if it hadn't been for the John Muir Trust and other bodies like it, things would have been a lot worse. But we haven't done enough. I remember at an early trustees meeting, Sir Charles Fraser, who was a trustee, saying that we should shout to the heavens about the dangers to wildland in Scotland. Did the John Muir Trust shout to the heavens? No. Did Charles Fraser shout to the heavens? No. Did I? No. None of us has done enough. But that shouldn't prevent us from trying harder. You don't have to travel far across the Highlands. As Jenny and I drove from Braemar today, it makes me feel ill to cross that road from Sir Ardle to Pitlochry and pass these monotonous ranks of Forestry Commission type plantations. So one of the biggest threats is the misuse of your taxpayers' money for damaging schemes which are often uneconomic and often out of date. Another one we can think of is the 20 million that's been blown of your money on a railway at Cairngorms. And we now have a rural development board which calls itself Cairngorms National Park, or as Richard Sheriffs of the Cairngorms Club calls it, the national farce. Because we really are far too parochial and narrow-minded. We should look abroad and learn lessons from abroad instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not all a matter of state-funded organisations, because we've got private estates. As Chris Smith rightly pointed out, the overstocking of red deer has been a chronic problem for centuries, resulting in no regeneration of trees over vast areas. And we also have builders' tax, which he mentioned, still pretty well uncontrolled. We also have large-scale illegal killing of these on private estates. We have destruction on a massive scale to get rid of natural regeneration of trees on moorland, and the latest one is trying to eradicate mountain hares. Now, what should we do about this kind of thing? Well, I say we should pull the plug on organisations, the big engines of destruction, like the Forestry Commission. Remove HIE's independence as a separate body from Scottish enterprise and remove it from Cairngorms. And on the private estates, we should say, if you continue with damaging activities that are unacceptable to society, you do without all state-funded grants, subsidies, tax remissions, the lot. Some of these people complain, but I say don't bite the hand that feeds you. Now, I have for many years, as Dick said, used my scientific training and my observation to describe what is going on about damaging activities and also to speak about it. Sometimes this gets you into hot water. I really didn't care, because as far back as I remember, I've been determined to puncture bogus argument. And if a case is based on irrational statements or distortion of the truth, I want to point out the truth. Sometimes gets you into hot water. As I say, some of my bosses used to say to me, well, you shouldn't associate with that person, Adam, because it's not good for your career. But because I never was pursuing what I thought was a career, it didn't matter. But sometimes there were serious threats. I've been threatened right up to Lord Dulverton of Glenfishie and his neighbour, Lieutenant Colonel J.P. Grant of Robbie Marcus, who both threatened legal action to try and silence me. I wasn't going to be silenced. It takes a lot more than that to make me feel fear. And as we say in Devon's side, It didn't put me up or down, or off my stop. I must say at the same time though, it's all too easy to drift into a cosy feeling where you don't want to get involved in controversy. And it's a nice day, so you want to go and take a walk in the hill. But we owe it to our self-respect and to the eagle and the wild places to do more. Nowadays, it's very common, it's what you might call politically correct, not to have conflict. Conflict's bad. Destructive comment is bad. It's got to be constructive. In fact, you need both. And you worship compromise and consensus. These are the words. And the latest verbiage is conflict resolution. Now, I believe that all human progress has come from conflict. And I reject totally the idea that we should sit down with bodies that represent people who kill these in a cosy way to try and work out some kind of compromise and maybe get taxpayers' money to make things easier. I reject it totally. My wife, Jenny here, has a good Aberdonian expression for people who are a bit yellow-bellied maybe. And I mean, maybe she'd call me that at times, and myself too. She says, there are big Jessies. So it's all too easy to be a big Jessie. And my message to you at the end, and to me, is don't be a big Jessie. Now lastly, and you'd see this on the sheet if you get as well, it's not just wild places and wildlife that can be tamed and destroyed by our activities, but also human languages, dialects, culture, and identity of communities. And you don't need to go far from here to find it, because in Sahardal, back of the hill, and in Braemar, they used to speak the East Highland dialect of Gaelic. I'm one of the last people who've heard a fluent native speaker of that dialect. But at one time, a very popular rhyme was common in Braemar and Sahardal. It was about the north wind. And it mentions Mullen, which is the wee bit of Pitlochry that some of you are going through tonight to hear music. But I think you want to hear this rhyme. And the rhyme in this Gaelic dialect goes, Cwr is caha yn bialach jerag, Sniach is rio carnaval, Uish is ge larig bialach, Grian gal am Moerling. And it means it's drifting on the bialach jerag, which is a pass from Braemar to the Loch Willig. Snow and frost on the Cairngorms, between Braemar and Welshie. Rain and wind on the Larrick Pass, which is between the Spittal of Glenshee and Hainachdu. Bright sun and moon. And let's not forget the Scots language, which I was brought up with, and which is under threat as well as Gaelic. Blind drift on the Reed Pass. Snow and frost on the Cairngorms. Rain and wind on the Larrick Pass. Brecht sun and moon. And I'll leave you with the thought, shout to the heavens about the wildlife. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
I said earlier that John Muir wasn't with us, and he isn't with us, but he has sent a message for you, Adam, that I would like to read out. Rona brought it, and I'd like to read it out. Dear Adam, I hear that you're about to be honoured by the John Muir Trust. I would like to add my congratulations to the many other tributes I know you will receive and merit. No one throughout the decades of our friendship has done more and in a self-effacing way to ensure the preservation of the essence of our vulnerable environment, especially that of your abiding love, the Cairngorms. I'm sorry I cannot participate in today's well-deserved ceremony, but I shall be with you in spirit. Happy memories and best wishes for the future. John Muir.